أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam with 400 Sahaba radiyallahu anhum went out in a battle called That al-Riqa'. Now Riqa' means pieces of cloth, rags. And the Ghazwa was given this name for the following reason. Abu Musa al-Ash'ari radiyallahu anhu said, we went with Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in a Ghazwa, and I was one of 6 men who were sharing the same camel. Meaning, if you have 6 people sharing a camel, you only get to ride 1/6 of the times, and the rest of the time you're walking on foot. So he said, فَنَقِبَتْ قَدَمَايَ وَسَقْطَتْ أَظْفَارِي. The skin of my feet was peeling off and my nails were falling down. And we would wrap rags, pieces of cloth around our feet. So this was pretty tough, walking on rocks and hot sand and all that. And in those days they didn't have pretty good boots, so they had to wrap these pieces of cloth around their feet. So that was the name of the Ghazwa, That al-Riqa'. The enemy fled. They didn't face off with the Muslims, but the Muslims were careful and alert. So when they prayed in a form that is called Salat al-Khawf, the Salah of fear. And this Salah is prescribed in Quran. It's in verse 102, Surah An-Nisa. Allah Azza wa Jal says,
وَإِذَا كُنْتَ فِيهِمْ فَأَقَمْتَ لَهُمُ الصَّلَاةَ فَلْتَقُمْ طَائِفَةٌ مِّنْهُمْ مَعَكَ وَلْيَأْخُذُوا أَسْلِحَتَهُمْ فَإِذَا سَجَدُوا فَلْيَكُونُوا مِنْ وَرَائِكُمْ وَلْتَأْتِ طَائِفَةٌ أُخْرَى لَمْ يُصَلُّوا فَلْيُصَلُّوا مَعَكَ وَلْيَأْخُذُوا حِذْرَهُمْ وَأَسْلِحَتَهُمْ وَدَّ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا لَوْ تَغْفُلُونَ عَنْ أَسْلِحَتِكُمْ وَأَمْتِعَتِكُمْ فَيَمِيلُونَ عَلَيْكُمْ مَيْلَةً وَاحِدَةً ولا جناح عليكم إن كان بكم أذى من مطر أو كنتم مرضى أن تضعوا أسلحتكم وخذوا حذركم إن الله أعد للكافرين عذابا مهينا فإذا قضيتم الصلاة فاذكروا الله قياما وقعودا وعلى جنوبكم.
And when you, i.e. the commander of an army, are among them and lead them in prayer, let a group of them stand in prayer with you and let them carry their arms. So they're standing in salah with their arms. And when they have prostrated, let them be in position behind you and have the other group come forward which has not yet prayed, and let them pray with you, taking precaution and carrying their arms. Those who disbelieve wish that you would neglect your weapons and your baggage so they could come down upon you in one single attack. If you are troubled by rain or are ill for putting down your arms, but take precaution, indeed Allah has prepared for the disbelievers humiliating punishment. So the way this salah is performed, there's 2 opinions. One is that one part of the army prays behind the imam while the other part of the army is guarding. So this half that is praying with the imam would pray with the imam 1 rak'ah. And then the imam would stand up for the 2nd rak'ah and would not move while they would finish their 2nd rak'ah and give salam. Which means that they prayed with the imam 1 rak'ah and the imam is now waiting. The next group, the group that was guarding, would then step in and they would pray with the imam the 2nd rak'ah, and then they would finish their 2nd rak'ah alone. This is one opinion. The other opinion is that the imam leads the first half in the 2 rak'ah, and then they make salam, and then the next group comes in and pray another 2 rak'ah with the imam. So the imam would end up praying 4 rak'ah while each half of the army would have prayed 2 rak'ah. So these are the two opinions of how Salat al-Khawf is performed. The lesson here to mention is the importance of Salah. That even if you are afraid that the enemy might ambush you, you still have to pray. So if this is the case with the ones who are fighting in the path of Allah, who are afraid of death, they still have to pray the Salah. What about somebody who has really nothing urgent and nevertheless they neglect the salawat? See, in Islam, every ibadah, there are conditions where you don't have to do it, except salah. So for example, the poor don't have to pay zakah. The ill don't have to fast. The financially incapable doesn't have to make hajj. And so on. This could go on with every ibadah, except salah. You're not excused at all. No matter what a Muslim has to pray. If you can't pray standing up, you pray sitting down. You can't sitting down, you lay down. Laying down, you move your head. You can't move your head, you move your finger. You can't move your finger, you blink with your eye. The point is, salah needs to be done. It must be done. And a Muslim is not excused from not praying. But Rasulullah ﷺ appointed guards that night, and the two guards were Ammar bin Yasir and Ubadah and Abbad bin Bishr. So they would alternate. Abbad bin Bishr would take his turn while Ammar would sleep, and then vice versa. So while Ammar was sleeping and Abbad was the one guarding, he occupied himself with salah. He started praying. And while he was reciting, one of the enemy shot an arrow at him. But he didn't move. So he shot another arrow at him. He still didn't move. He shot the third arrow at him. And then Abbad woke up Ammar bin Yasir. So when Ammar woke up and saw that Abbad has 3 arrows sticking out of his body, he told him, Subhanallah, halla nabbahtani, glory be to Allah, why didn't you wake me up? He said, كنت في سورة أقرأها فلم أحب أن أقطعها فلما تابع الرمي ركعت فآذنتك وأيم الله لولا أن أضيع ثغرا أمرني رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم بحفظه لقطع نفسي قبل أن أقطعها أو أنفذها. He said, I was reciting a surah and I didn't want to stop until I finish it. But when he kept on firing arrows at me, I made ruku' and then I woke you up. And in the name of Allah, if it wasn't for that, I would have caused my responsibility. If I would have been considered to be neglectful of my responsibility, which was given to me by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I would have rather died than stop my salah, or I would have finished it. Now, this is an impressive story. You see how much he loved Quran. He didn't want to stop. And, these arrows are striking at him. And even though he's suffering all of that pain, he still has the concentration and khushu' in salah to carry on reading the ayat of Quran. And this is truly amazing. But this shows you the level of iman that these Sahaba radiallahu anhum had. We also see here that he said, I didn't want to neglect the responsibility given to me by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So now he was weighing these two things. One, he wants to carry on with the salah. Number two, he is responsible for guarding the Muslims and he doesn't want them to be attacked from his side. And this word that he used, Thaghr means hole. So you can imagine it as if there is this hole or this opening which the enemy can come through, and he is responsible for that Thaghr. And this word repeats a lot in Arabic, that every Muslim is on a Thaghr. Every Muslim is at this opening, and you don't want the enemy to approach the ummah from your opening. We need to imagine ourselves as if every one of us is standing next to an opening. Every one of us is responsible not to let the enemy approach us from that opening. Whether the enemy is shaitan or whether the enemy is kuffar, whatever the enemy is, you do not want to be the one who opens the door for the enemy to come through. And every one of us has a responsibility, and we need to take that responsibility seriously. And your responsibility depends on the gifts that Allah Azza wa Jalla has given you. So if Allah Azza wa Jalla has gifted you with knowledge, then you want to make sure that you are responsible. If Allah Azza wa Jalla has gifted you with physical strength, you want to take care of that responsibility. If Allah Azza wa Jalla has gifted you with, or has blessed you with wealth, you want to make sure that you are responsible and you don't allow shaitan to attack us through your gate, and that is by withholding your money. So we ask Allah Azza wa Jalla to make us understand what our responsibilities are and fulfill them accordingly.